Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Cowboys predicted to land most polarizing star QB to replace Dak Prescott. It's a bit unusual for the Cowboys to be in the depths of the 2024 NFL offseason with a quarterback on the roster who was a Pro Bowler and an MVP candidate, a guy who was third in the NFL with 4,516 yards, first in completion percentage, 69.5%, first in touchdowns, 36, and second in rating, 105.9, and yet still be uncertain about the franchise's future at the league's most important position. That's just the way things are for the team and Dak Prescott, whose regular season heroics were not enough to stave off another NFL playoff bust, as the team flamed out against the Packers at home in the opening round, with Prescott heading into the final year of his contract. His future in Dallas is strangely murky, but USA Today offers some comfort, hypothetical though it may be. In its early 2025 NFL mock draft, the site has the Cowboys landing the son of franchise legend and Colorado coach Deion Sanders, quarterback Shedeur Sanders, to replace Prescott, while there's plenty of time for Dak Prescott to iron out an agreement to stay in Dallas for the foreseeable future. The 8-year veteran hasn't engaged in any contract talks yet and can force his way onto the free agent market, where he'd be sure to command an astronomical payday. The site noted this week, if the nightmare scenario somehow materializes for Jerry Jones, having Sanders take the reins to the Cowboys' attack would be a fascinating possibility. Shedeur Sanders tabbed most polarizing prospect. During last season, USA Today's Kurt Popejoy declared Sanders the most polarizing prospect in the country. That's not an issue for the Cowboys, of course. He was right, no question. After 2 stellar seasons at Jackson State, he followed his father to the Boulder last year and made an immediate splash when he threw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns against 16th-ranked TCU in his Colorado debut. That was followed by 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 941 yards in his next 2 games, both wins, against Nebraska and Colorado State. From there, Sanders kept up the numbers, but the Buffaloes went 1-7, taking some bloom off his rose and nudging him to return for his senior season rather than testing the 2024 NFL Draft, which was top-heavy on quarterbacks, with 6 picked in the first 12 selections. Despite the record, and despite the quality of players at the QB spot in this record-setting draft, Sanders drew attention for saying he was better than all of them. "I'm biased, but I don't see a quarterback that's better than me," Sanders told Sports Illustrated's Bryce Butler during Super Bowl week. "I don't see a quarterback that went through as much adversity as me, that had 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years, coming from an HBCU, coming to a Power 5 program, having real pressure on me. A lot of people don't understand. That's a lot more adversity than you think, just even being the son of Deion Sanders." Cowboys might not be in 2025 draft range for top QB, while Sanders' self-promotion might seem like bombast. He does have his supporters. ESPN's Field Yates wrote that Sanders might be the first pick of the draft, which would make him all but unattainable for the Cowboys barring a blockbuster trade. "I actually think Sanders feels like the early leader to be the first pick in the draft, as his elite pocket passing is beyond impressive. How he can carve up a defense when given time and space is legit," Yates said, but the Draft Network tabs him as a day 2 pick, emblematic of the split among scouts when it comes to Sanders. His 49 sacks taken are a big red flag. Sanders tends to hold the football longer in the pocket. This leads to unnecessary sacks and hits. He will sit and wait for routes to break free from the coverage, the site wrote. Cowboys urged to trade draft pick for 1,000-yard bully back. There are a couple of ways to view Broncos running back Javonte Williams. He could be seen as a spent force, a player who made an impression as a rookie after being a second-round pick in 2021, but whose knee injury, torn ACL and LCL, in year 2 sapped him of his ability. Or he could be seen as a player ready to bounce back now that he's 2 years removed from surgery and rehab. Perhaps, too, he should be seen as a Cowboys trade target. Indeed, it is no secret that the Cowboys intend to run a committee at the running back position this season, and the question as things stand is only one of whether they have the right bodies to run that committee. One of the goals should be to identify underused running back talent on other rosters and make a push for a trade. For the Cowboys site, Blogging the Boys, Williams is an underused talent. In an article titled 3 post-draft moves the Dallas Cowboys should make to complete their roster. Williams is highlighted by writer Brian Martin as the trade piece the Cowboys should target. Javonte Williams can be an every-down RB. The Broncos' running back room is, indeed, crowded, and Williams' status with the team is on shaky ground. He was a state champion track star in high school who went on to North Carolina, and the Broncos used a second-rounder to draft him. He tallied 1,219 yards from scrimmage as a rookie, which included a 4.4 yards per carry rate and 43 catches for 318 yards. But after suffering the knee injury 4 games into 2022, Williams spent most of 2023 in a tandem with Jaleel McLaughlin. He rushed for 774 yards, 1,002 from scrimmage, but his average dropped to 3.6 yards per carry. The Broncos then picked Notre Dame back Audric Estime in last week's draft. Martin wrote, "The Cowboys can easily part with a late draft pick in 2025 to acquire Williams' services. The 5'10", 220-pound RB is exactly what they need at the position. He is a true 3-down back with the power to pick up the tough yards and the agility and contact balance to pick up chunk yardage down after down. Even if he ends up being a one-year rental, he is well worth the investment if they can pry him away from the Broncos." Cowboys counting on a RB crowd. As things stand, Ezekiel Elliott is shaping up as the Cowboys' primary running back, with Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn behind him. There's depth, but a return to Zeke as the lead back is probably not good enough at the top. Williams would change that. His ability as a receiver and willingness to plow through contact are strengths that should make him a 3-down back. At NFL.com, his pre-draft scouting report read, "Big, broad bully back who runs with an exciting blend of animosity and feel as a future every down starter in the league. He's a terror behind his pads, creating yardage by battering and discarding tackle attempts. Sounds like the kind of bruiser the Cowboys need." Elliott will still be a factor, of course. He certainly thinks he can still be the lead back. "I think you guys all know what I'm going to give when I'm on the field," Elliott told reporters this week. "I'm going to do whatever I need to and whatever I can to help this team be successful. At the end of the day, I'm a football player. I love this game. I think I still am a dominant guy. I've got to go out there and prove that." Cowboys Pro Bowler reveals surprise offseason surgery. No one likes going under the knife, of course. But for Cowboys rookie kicker Brandon Aubrey, what might have been an emergency surgery this offseason turned out to be a bit of a blessing. Back in late January and early February, Aubrey had pain in his abdomen that did not want to go away. He went to see a doctor who told him he needed to have his appendix removed. The problem for Aubrey was that after a magical first season in the NFL after coming over from the USFL, he was slated to appear in the NFL's Pro Bowl festivities. He was not going to miss the Pro Bowl. So he took a chance, had some antibiotics, and made it through the weekend in Orlando. Getting his appendectomy the next day, Aubrey revealed the surgery this week. Some forced R&R there. Had that out the day after the Pro Bowl. He told reporters via DallasCowboys.com, "It was kind of bothering me during the Pro Bowl. Got it out and then had some forced rest. It was actually 4 days before the Pro Bowl. It kind of starting hurting. So went to the doctor. They checked it out and did a scan, and they said, yeah, you've got appendicitis. I wanted to be at the Pro Bowl, so they gave me some antibiotics instead of taking it then and there. Got me 10 days, made it through the Pro Bowl, got out and got home. Cowboys found a keeper at kicker certainly. Aubrey earned the right to approach the offseason any way he likes after the kind of year he just had. He led the NFL with 36 field goals made out of 38 attempts, a 94.7% rate, which ranked third in the NFL. He made 49 of his 52 extra point attempts too. Aubrey attempted 10 field goals of 50 yards or more and made all 10. He was also 14 for 14 on field goal tries of 40 yards or more. The 29-year-old Aubrey was a soccer star at Notre Dame in college and went on to play pro soccer as a first-round pick of the Toronto Football Club in Major League Soccer. After his career in soccer flamed out, Aubrey was working in computers but began retraining as a place kicker. He played 2 seasons with the Birmingham Stallions of the USFL before the Cowboys signed him last summer. It was a magical ride last season, but Aubrey says he is leaving 2023 in the rearview mirror. It's rinse and reset, he said. Obviously, you just want to go out there and perform every game. Kind of thought about it through the offseason, enjoyed it, reflected on it, put it on the shelf, and moved on to this year. This year is going to be its own thing. I've got to go and make sure it's a good year as well. Brandon Aubrey got some rest. As for his off-season, Aubrey said he took 6 weeks off before returning to training. That includes the recovery period from his appendectomy. It's gone well. Rest, got healthy, relaxed. Mental break, you know. It's my first break since 4 USFL seasons, so it's been 4 years going strong. Good to get the break, Aubrey said. You don't really realize where you're at until you kind of slow down and stop. Maybe a little bit of mental fatigue sticking in there. Some fatigue in the leg, so it was good to get that break.